Angela Rayner's tax protest was staged by Conservative politicians posing as tax activists. We're going to read into this more from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Byline Times with the headline of Angela Rayner's tax protest was staged by Conservative politicians posing as tax activists. A supposed grassroots tax protest against Labour's Deputy Leader Angela Rayner hit the headlines on Wednesday was actually organised by the Conservative Party. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. Now, we can have a genuine topic and discussion in the comment section about whether or not Angela Rayner is right not to publish her tax returns with regards to an issue over her council house and whatnot. We can have that discussion. We could have that debate if we wanted to, but I've avoided it because. And the reason I've avoided that debate and that discussion or even a video on it, guys, is because considering what the Conservatives have been doing lately, I felt that that's obviously, including some of the scandals that have been going on, I felt they were much more important stories, and very little from certain new medias have been highlighting these scandals from the Conservative Party. Now, what do I make of this? Now, before I go about this, let me address the issue with Angela Rayner. If she's got nothing to hide, she should publish it. That's it. Yeah. The premise that she made that I'll share my taxes as the Conservatives share theirs, and I was just like for me, it's like you don't need to prove. The part of me feels like you don't need to prove anything, but at the same time, it's like, well, you're not going to get the Conservatives to reveal their secrets anyway. So, and the thing is that Angela Rayner is actually one of the few Labour people inside the Labour Party that actually wants to actually do good for the people, because she doesn't have a working class background, because she's not someone who went to private school and whatnot, and went through the struggles and knows what it's like for ordinary people. She's one of the few people that could potentially be in government that could actually really, really help ordinary people in Labour. I know, I understand the criticism and skepticism, but she's one of the few that's actually going to do that. I generally believe that she will do some good for people if Labour come into power at the next general election. Now, does that mean that she should get a slide on things that she may or may not have done? No, of course not. Of course not. I'm not saying that at all. But she's certainly a far better saint than what the Conservatives have been done, and especially what some of the comments that have come from the Reform Party as well about her and others as well. So be very sure to remember that. Now, as for this tax activist, so I've had a little read of this already before we read into this. So these tax activists, to try and paint this picture of, so this is basically and to try and create this image amongst the public that the public are angry with Angela Rayner, that they're outrageous with Angela Rayner, and they demand answers, and they want everything to know about it. That's not true. That's not true. That this is a staged activist, and here's the thing, right? This could be happening a lot more at the general election. Could potentially be something that they could be doing. Like, we know that the Conservatives are planning to use lots of dirty tactics at the general election. They're already using them in these local elections. I'm getting bombarded on YouTube with conservative stuff about for Susan Hall. You're not going to get me to vote for her, no matter how much YouTube tries to pump that information in front of my face. I'm not going to vote for Susan Hall. Just forget it. But this kind of staging activist, this could be the first of many things that they could try to do to lots of Labour candidates up and down the country to try and fight. Once they have some dirt on a Labour candidate, they will run with it, and then they could try to do things like this to stage and make it look how terrible this person is. There's even locals coming out and staging protests against them when these people could actually, or they're not living in the local area, and they're not part of an activist group, and they actually work for the Conservative Party. Don't know about you, but I feel like that these kind of tax activists, something tells me they should face some kind of criminal charge here for misrepresenting, you know. But it just comes across. I just feel like maybe these people should actually face some kind of criminal charge for posing as something like this, when in actual fact it's not. And especially when the papers are talking about it as well. So a supposed grassroots tax protest against our Labour Party Deputy Leader Angela Rayner, which hit the headlines on Wednesday, was organised and conducted by Conservative Party politicians. One of the organisers had admitted to Byline Times. Uh-oh, you weren't supposed to tell them that. Ooh. The Daily Express published video from the protest in Yarm, North Yorkshire, showing what they described as activists donning caps, glasses and yellow vests with the slogan "Tax Inspector." Okay. The report refers to what they describe as local sources, suggesting that Rayner was forced to sneak out the back door of the Tomahawk bar to avoid being photoshopped with the protesters on the way out. Local sources. Walking down the Yarm High Street, Miss Rayner was seen hiding under an umbrella as activists wearing Tax Inspector high-vis vests unveiled a giant banner reading "Angela Rayner Tax Dodger," the paper reported. The Express did not reveal who the protesters, three of whom were seen wearing caps, glasses and hood were, or which campaign they represented. So the Express put this piece out and didn't even highlight this. However, Byline Times has identified one of the protesters as a local Conservative councillor for Yarm, John Coulson. Ah, funny that. So he's not a protester. He works for the Conservative Council. Coulson admitted to this paper to taking part in the protests alongside other local Conservative councillors. However, he denied organising the protests, in which he said he'd been put together at short notice by others in the party. Okay, so I had nothing to do with this. They just put this in at the last minute and I had to go along with it. Our local guys decided to make this protest, Coulson said. It wasn't organised by me. I was just asked to get involved because I'm very vocal and I'm very active because I believe in what we're doing. I got involved. Yeah, you sure did get involved. You know, it's such a shame that other protesters can't do the protest that they want to do. But you guys can. You guys can because you're Conservatives. You know, that's fair. Freedom of speech and fair play, you know, and all that stuff, right? Coulson, who faces his own local controversy back in 2022 over allegations of posting misogynistic social media posts, said that he took part because he feels very protective of local Conservative MP Matt Vickers, who is projected to lose his seat in the House of Commons to Labour, according to a series of recent national opinion polls. A protest follows a campaign by the Conservative Party and supporting newspapers to raise questions about Angela Rayner's historic tax affairs. Rayner has strongly denied underpaying capital gains tax on the sale of the property 10 years ago, which independent tax experts suggest would amount to around $1,500 if proven to have been underpaid. The allegations first resurfaced in a new book published by the former Conservative peer, Lord Ashcroft, who previously faced controversy himself over his use of non-dom tax status, which reportedly allowed him to legally avoid tens of millions of pounds in tax. But yeah, because it's Lord Ashcroft, we can't scream and shout about it because, you know, he's a Conservative Lord. But, you know, Angela Rayner, you know, we have to scream and shout about it, obviously. You know, it for me, like is this right? Is the question that I'm asking myself here. And I feel like that this is wrong in every way, shape or form. That they should not be allowed to do this. Because it's a misleading it's a misleading activist. They're not actual activists. They're not actually protesters. They work for the Conservative Council here. Like if they were genuine public people, genuine protesters, this it would be my opinion would be very different. I wouldn't agree with it, but they would be very different. But because these guys are all part of the Conservative Council, it doesn't sit right with me at all. It feels very misleading and staged to portray Angela Rayner as this evil tax dodging woman when the Conservatives have been dodging so much tax themselves, so many of their MPs, so many scandals and whatnot. It does feel like a bit of a cop out here. But what do you guys honestly think? What do you think about these so-called tax activists who aren't really tax activists but actually work for the Conservative Council? Do you think what they did is perfectly all right? Do you think it's justified? Obviously, there's nothing against the law for them doing this, but if there's nothing against the law for them being able to do what they did, what's wrong with other people being able to protest and do things outside of places? Yeah, so you have to justify. If you can justify what they're doing here, then you also have to justify other people protesting in certain places as well, because then you're a hypocrite. Just pointing that out. But let me know what you honestly think in the comment section down below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further and financially support me and the work I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.